What goes on a painting holiday? Have you ever been on one? Maybe you've never been on one and wonder what goes on. Hello, I'm Tim Wilmot, a watercolor artist, and for a week every October, I'm the resident art tutor, if you like, at the Watermill in Posara in Tuscany, Italy. Lovely location, lovely countryside, fantastic place to be creative. So this is actually me here doing a plein air painting. I mean, the week's all about plein air painting. We try and stay outdoors pretty much every day. Only if it's rain or inclement weather will we retire to the studio. But yeah, every day, plein air painting, lovely countryside, different scenery every day, lots of like-minded watercolor artists, all trying to be creative and pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. So this video is a compilation of a number of photographs and videos, not necessarily from me, but a lot from fellow attendees or students. I'm not sure what the right terminology is for people coming on these holidays, or sometimes they're called workshops, but that sounds a little bit too formal and sounds like hard work, but it is a painting holiday. So fellow holiday makers, a lot of photographs and videos from them. So there'd be all sorts of different dimensions and styles of these photographs, so apologies in advance. So day one, we normally stay around this location, the Watermill in Posara, and hopefully the weather's good for us. We try and find a couple of locations, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, where I do a demonstration. I pick a scene, I do a demonstration, and I walk through step by step my own particular process of doing a painting. So this was on the last painting holiday I did at the Watermill. This was painting number one. This was subject number one. This is right outside the mill, and we're looking up into the start of the village of Posara, so we can see the mountains in the background there. Really nice scene. Bright sunlight. We've got some in watercolor. We're after values, so lots of darks, lots of lights, a bit of atmosphere, bit of impact in the painting. So the sun is sort of behind us here. Big red car in the middle, which we have to think, well, what are we going to do with that? And there's a lot of detail on the right-hand side here as well. So do we put in all of that detail and these complicated roof lines as well? Over on the left-hand side, we've got this creeping vine going across some trellis or supporting framework. There's a pot here as well on top of the wall. There's a large tree over on the left-hand side that's casting a shadow across the scene. But it's a nice subject to start the week off with, gently break ourselves in and see what we're all about, see what kind of different levels we're at. You get all sorts of different levels of painters on these painting holidays. I would say mostly beginners. There are a few advanced or intermediate painters that just want to go to the next level. So I don't mind if whatever level people are at, doesn't matter to me. Hopefully there's something for everyone. So I picked this scene because I think it's fairly simple. We're going to include a figure as well in the scene. So I'll show you my end painting very shortly. But a nice painting to break ourselves into the week. So let's just go forwards here to my rendition of the scene. I decided to go portrait orientation on this one. I could have gone landscape. If I go back to the scene, I could have gone landscape, sort of just concentrating on the houses and maybe not so much to the foreground. But I went portrait on this, and unusually for me, normally I paint with my wash. I paint the whole scene from top to bottom with an initial wash, but this time I decided to start with just doing the buildings here, after doing the initial drawing, of course. So I started with the buildings, a little bit of brown for the rooftops, then a sort of greyish colour with a hint of burnt sienna in it, a bit of red for the rooftops, and coming down to the foreground, red for the car. Let that dry. After that, I went in with the background sky and hills to get that soft edge. I wanted a soft edge here and a hard edge on the rooftops, which I think I got. So I went around the chimneys and the rooftops. Notice it's not a perfect line, imperfect, little sort of jagged edges, imperfections in there, just to give hopefully a bit of an added impression of the old buildings and loose tiles or whatever. So painting around the chimneys. After that, I went in with the dark. So these shrubs and greenery here, not too overworked, very simple. Included the figure, shadows in the middle ground. The figure is kind of lost in that shadow there, and then the foreground shadow, I decided to, now unlike so this photograph was probably taken a little bit later than I did it, so I was here painting a little bit earlier than this scene. So shadows going across the scene and connecting with that car, and then on the left-hand side. So that was painting number one. Just breaks ourselves into the week, right outside the mill, lovely scene, right close to all the facilities, and a nice little scene to break ourselves into the week. So painting, that's the group of us. That then is me in the middle there, painting the scene, and fellow attendees watching on, some making notes, having a natter, and so on. Painting number two. So after lunch, we walked up into the village itself and positioned ourselves on this main road going through the village with a lovely scene of the church and the bell tower. Now look how that light hits the side of that church tower, and the light hitting the side of the church as well, the light on this right-hand side, the darkness of the left-hand side, some cars with some reflection. So a little bit, almost like a step beyond painting scene number one, a little bit more difficult. We've got a bit of perspective here, more things to consider like cars and so on, and street lights and the background hills. So, and also, you can't see too much in this photograph. There's some railings on the right-hand side. So how do you paint railings? How do you render them in? So my painting of that scene is here. Again, I went portrait orientation. I think it suited the scene best. And you can see I hopefully got the impression of the light hitting the left-hand side of the bell tower there. I went for a bit of a moody, atmospheric sky. I wanted to try and show the students one way in which I would do the sky with a little bit of random clouds and putting in these warm clouds and a bit of cerulean blue for the sky. So that was the sky. Again, range of values, quite light on the background hills there, darker on the darker on this shading of that far building at the end of the street. This scene is actually quite nice by having that building there at the end, sort of stopping the eye and going further on. It sort of stops there, and maybe your eye then comes back up the street. That's the general idea. So that was quite nice. And then having the contrast of the background building with the cars here, bit of light hitting the windscreen of this car and dark shadows on the left-hand side. Sneaked in a little figure. I got in the sign as well. Is that in the? You can't really see it there. Got in the sign. Just as something else on the right-hand side there. Yes, that was painting number 2. Again, very close to the mill. Now, so that was the first day. Day 2, which was the Monday, we go up to Verrucola, very close by. We are transported by the watermill up to Verrucola, and this is a castle, a hilltop village with a castle on the top, and there's this lovely bridge going across the river valley into the village itself. Lovely bell tower up on the right hand side on top of the castle. Nice shadows going across the scene. It actually rained this second day that we were at the mill, so we actually went into the studio to do a few indoor paintings, but this is the afternoon. We get a nice hearty Italian traditional stew in the Castello restaurant, I think it's called. It's a lovely restaurant there. And then in the afternoon, we could disperse or we keep together, but I decided that we all go down into this little valley here, nice sheltered spot. It was quite windy, nice and sheltered down here, and a nice scene out of the valley with the bridge, and again all of these lovely contrasts here. So this was my painting. I've actually done this on a YouTube video some time ago, almost identical scene. I just think it's quite a nice scene. It's quite a nice composition ready made for you, with the bridge, perhaps sneaking a few figures on the bridge, the light hitting the building on the right hand side and the restaurant as well, carrying on the theme down towards the foreground, bit of foliage, good practice of how to do foliage in the background and the foreground there. So that was the painting from day 2, Verrucola and the castle. And that's me in action, painting up the scene with my plein air setup. As I say, it's all about plein air painting, and what you also pick up on these painting holidays is the sort of equipment other people have got, what equipment has a tutor got, and you then go back home with a big shopping list of all the things that you want to purchase to improve your setup. And that's me, again, looking at the scene. Quite a few people laughing there. I'm not sure exactly what the joke was. But yeah, we all have a good time, and nice to say this particular spot was lovely. The sun was out, very sheltered, and quite a nice view up the valley, up the river valley. And that's us from the bridge, looking down on the group. And this is probably actually towards the end of the day. The sun is beginning to sink. So it's a good practice of timing and working fast, plein air painting, trying to remember how the shadows worked. But we all had a good time, and I think we all managed to complete our paintings. Now, this is day 3, and we got up to the market in nearby Vivizzano. And this is the main town in the area. Every Tuesday they have a market in the central square here. Nice, again, a totally different sort of scenes to what we've had before. We've got lots of people. We've got the shapes of these market stalls. So lots of opportunities. This is a square, so we can be at any sort of site or any sort of corner of the square, I chose this angle this year, looking up to some stalls. The actual centre of the square is over to the right. So this is an entrance, one of the corners, and there's a big bell tower over to the left here. Lovely bell tower. And this was the painting I did of that scene. Just lots of geometric shapes, really, of these shadows going across the scene, hitting some of these market stalls, the dark valley of the background, the background buildings, blue sky, quite a simple sky. The light hitting the left-hand buildings, some dark shadows with some hard edges under the rooftop there, hard edge down here, and of course lots of figures. Now, what I did also invite people to do is to send in some videos of me painting. So in the next sequence, we've got me painting live with some commentary in the background. This is an unedited video, not taken by me. There are several through this video, but a nice opportunity just to see how I work plein air and some of the commentary along the way, and also some of these videos, some of the questions that people are asking as well. Brightly lit buildings on the left. No, yellow ochre.
The green, I see, you've got a mixture of that green.
Yeah, a bit of yellow and yellow ochre. Just a light.
Okay.
Yeah, just a light. Just a light wash there.
You can't see that.
Then background buildings can be anything at this stage, just come down to those very bright awnings.
There are not many people about for this market. Not many buyers.
So we'll go darker, and this is not the finished background here. We'll go darker. So it's just to take out the white paper there.
Vuole quello lì, mi tolgo le foglie?
So now we're actually coming down into the very complicated, all these goods that are hanging down.
Yeah, very complicated. Different colours there. Is there lots of different colours?
Might paint around some of these figures.
You've got some lovely curses down there.
Vabbè, adesso dopo San Martino, quando l'altra volta però è buonissimo, qua lo saprete.
I'll take bids.
Depending on the production value.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have done that.
So that's some
I'm doing it on the iPad.
produce in there.
Because
You can see it.
on your phone, you can tell when it's
Yeah.
looking, especially
Reds.
he does YouTube.
Spinaci, viergole,
Blue.
la busta? Vuole di questi piccini o più grossi?
So I'm not drawing exactly all these bits of clothing, but I'm just trying to get in the base colours of them. Now, just finish up with the street.
What colour are you using for the street?
It's mainly colour for the street, burnt sienna, and I did put a bit of cobalt blue in there, so just a blue and a brown.
Diluted.
Yeah, yeah, because I want it nice and light. There's a bit of green in there.
Sì, sì.
You put the yellow in there.
It's I see
where
bits
you're
of
gonna
yellow
have those
in the
bright
in some,
patches,
I just see some of
where the bright patches are.
yeah, see some of these slabs of grey, and then others are more of a
Oh yeah, I see it.
bit of a yellow ochre in them. Not sure why. Right, can I dry this quickly? Now I thought I'd show you where we are for the week. So this is, let's just zoom out here. There we are, Italy. You're probably flying to Pisa if you're coming to the Watermill, and we all get taken, all the transfers are included, and we go up to this area here. Well, there's Posara, and the main town in the area, Vivizzano. So let's just zoom in here and I'll show you where that market square is. Let's just go to satellite view. Hurry up. There we go. Oh, there's that square in there. And where I took the painting was in this left-hand corner here. There's the background building. The market stalls are all in the center here. Let's just pop into street view. So there's the square, there's the background buildings I did. Let's just go around the square. Beautiful fountain in the middle with some dolphin statues around it. Each of these corners, there's nice paintings that you can do from any angle. Depending on the light, you've got to watch the light as it changes in the day. So this is, I think this is south going down there. That's effectively south. So this is where I did the painting from just now. There's the bell tower at midday. In midday it sort of goes into warp drive. It just makes some lovely chimes and songs. That's lovely to stick around there for midday. Yeah, so that's the square. After lunch, I go uptown to a sort of square. It's a busy road junction, but we tuck ourselves into the side of the road, all painting in a nice, safe, secure position. and a view of, this is the view I took for the afternoon painting. There's a bar here, a street up the side, a tree-lined street, nice shadows going across the street and up the building. Lovely big tree on the left-hand side. Some road markings as well, just adds another dimension into the painting. A few figures also. So my painting of the scene, perhaps at a slight angle this. Did I do it at an angle? Maybe I sort of tilted it at a slight angle just to create a sense of the slope, the hill up to the left-hand side. But hopefully captured the scene. I really went quite vivid with the blue here, as you can see. Yeah, well, it's a blue sky, so it does need to try and reflect that, and the contrast of the blue against the terracotta rooftops and the warmer walls, and that the stripy blind going over the entrance of the cafe, and then just a sort of impression of a few figures. You can't, if you look at the scene, you can't really, there's lots of complicated lines and chairs and table legs and tabletops and so on, and yeah, you could get bogged down with the detail there. So I keep it very simple, keep it very loose. There's the pedestrian crossing. I sort of sneaked in, which leads the eye, not have it in the middle. Don't want it there. I want it just slightly off center, leading into the composition. I could have put in a few figures, extra figures, perhaps over here, but I'm just trying to get the impression of the scene. Lovely afternoon, sunny afternoon in Vivizzano, and the tree-lined street there, shadows going across the street, that bigger tree on the left-hand side. Yeah, so that was Vivizzano Market Day. Day 3. Now, day 4, we moved to a completely different location. This is a nearby monastery or convent. It's the Italian name is Convento di Carmine. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. But we have the whole place to ourselves. There's no one there. Lots of lovely gardens around the side. It's almost like an arboretum here. There's so many different varieties of trees and shapes of trees. If you're into trees, there's a lovely spot. There's an olive tree here, cypress trees, different cedars in the background, some sort of pine tree conifer here on the right-hand side. But then there's this monastery taking center stage. And this is a good practice of doing arches and, again, perspective, but arches. See, there's 4 arches here on the entrance to the monastery. It's actually a very popular wedding venue here because inside there's the internal cloisters, a square with a fountain in the middle. And if you're into drawing arches, well, you can really go to town there. Fantastic, peaceful spot. We have a picnic lunch here. So do a painting in the morning, perhaps a painting in the afternoon. But this was the scene I chose. And why did I choose this? Well, it's early morning. The sun's just beginning to come up. Shadows are beginning to form. A little bit of, so there's some steps here. Do you see? There's a bit of light hitting the tops of the steps, and a bit of light hitting the distant background, and light, some shadows beginning to form across here as well. Darkness underneath the arches. There are these shrouds or blinds here across the arches. I basically ignored those in my painting. Well, let's just see what I did. Here we are. So I've done this scene a few times on my trips there, and I try to change the orientation of my view each year just to keep things different. But you can see how I tackled this scene with those tricky arches. There we are. And the perspective of the scene, the background, trees. Well, you don't paint every single tree, just imagine them all kind of glued together and it's just one scene across there. There's the steps, do you see? There, sneaked in a figure walking towards us, and these shadows. There's the olive tree with that sort of, well, I used cobalt turquoise for that tree, for the olive tree, and then these shadows coming across the ground. Now it is October, the leaves are beginning to fall, so I did a bit of splattering, which you'll see in a video, bit of splattering with some dark shadows underneath these leaves. Well, just give the impression of some leaf litter across the foreground there. So there we are. There's the scene and the photograph, and now we'll pop into a short video of that scene. So I'll just try and get in this sort of greyish colour, the base colour of the monastery building. Bit of burnt sienna and cerulean blue is quite a nice grey. Maybe just paint around the figure. And then got a bit of cobalt green for this olive tree at the side.
Unusual green, cool.
Yeah, but it's got that sort of the right sort of colour for that olive tree.
Is that what it's called? Cobalt?
Cobalt green, this
Green.
one, yeah. Or cobalt turquoise will be fine. Let's make it a bit greener, it's a bit too vivid. And then down to the grass. Let's just finish off the steps. Down to the grass, let's make it more of a brighter green. And then continue on the pathway. Bit more grass. Bit too bright. There we are. That's the base colour. All right, so
I get all different bits, not
Like
all
a-
running into each other.
a bit darker.
Trying too hard to control it. Yeah. Colouring. Yeah, exactly.
So you actually try and get your mid-tones in whilst you're doing this wash?
Yeah, I'm just getting a bit of slightly different, going a little bit darker in some areas, because I'm not going to really paint over those again. So this right-hand side of the building, that's pretty much going to be it. And this end here needs to be perhaps a little bit darker. Again, I'll be going over that again. Hopefully I can still see my pencil marks. Yep. That's it for the first step. I'm just going to let that dry off. Conifers and pine trees and cypress trees in the background. And then follow that roof. Coming down to the tops of the steps and the side wall there. Now, I'll just try and get a nice edge. The right hand side of the monastery, there's a bit of a ledge up there, platform up there. Tops of the steps. And then darker as I come down to the ground level, throwing this figure into a bit of a silhouette. Too much on the brush. Now, steps. They're not sort of uniform, this very sort of, you know, they're not equal, all those steps there. And we've got some longer steps which go over to the side. Now, olive tree. back to that. Let's get in. Let's start over here now, doing the shadow of the walls. Let's just searching. The water in there. Just earlier I saw the light coming through the trees. I think if I splatter a bit, it might give the impression of some soft light coming through. Right, so I'll come back to that in a minute. Let's do the convent. So a bit of a more intense mixture of what I did initially, which was the burnt sienna and cerulean blue. Maybe quite dark. Up the top there. And then down. Down this right hand edge. Just leave a little bit of a gap there where the light is catching it. And it's really important to get your drawing right. A bit too dark. Again, I might need a good hard edge here. Now we've got some shadow coming across the this right hand side of the convent we didn't have before. So they weren't all the same angle. I'd gone a little bit like that just to catch the different angles of the light. Right, really tricky bit coming up. These arches and the different. Let's start with this side. So I might need to do this in two. So start this side. So that's not dark enough. It's really dark inside. Yeah. So. Check the angle of my brush. So I'm doing this foot to the right of where Eugene is now, just doing this. These columns they come right down to that ledge, just where the planters are. Planters. A bit of shadow underneath the planters. Right, come back to that. Let's do figure.
Stand back.
Yeah, stand. For you, Tony, you're in the firing line there. So, the autumn leaves. While that's drying,
I usually panic at that time and start blotting it off, which is what.
we're getting a few more smaller brush now. Smaller brush and some windows. Did you like those bells? We hear the bells all over the places when we're in this particular location in Tuscany. So the last day of the week, we're in the very pretty hilltop village of Monte dei Bianchi. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Lovely village, very quiet. If you're into cats, lots of cats wandering around, very friendly cats. But this lovely hilltop village with valleys either side, views up into the mountains, and right at the end of the village is the church. And you'll hear the church bells sound in a minute when I run the video that one of the students took of me. But this was the scene I decided on. So we've got our back to this church, and you can see all our gear here, just up against the wall there. Lovely day, bright sunshine, lovely and warm. We all had our hats on, and so I chose this scene because I love these shadows, these soft shadows going across the walls there, and you can see the cross of on the top of the church roof, just the shadow of that on that roof, very soft, and then a sort of nod to the modern life with some satellite dishes, but the view down the street and just a bit like the market day. All those angular shadows going across the scene. I was quite attracted to this particular scene, and some darker values on that side of the street. Big question was, do I go portrait or landscape? You could have done, or I could have done portrait, so just taking that view there, but I decided to get in the wider angle, as you can see in the end painting. So this is it. I sneaked in that halogen light, that floodlight in the top of the, is it in there? Oh, you can just about see the shadow of it in the photo. But yes, there was this floodlight there up on the top of the wall. Satellite dish on the right hand side. Then it's viewed down the street, a figure walking away from us, and then just all these geometric shapes of shadows, really, and some cables crossing the street as well. Do we see that in the photograph? Yeah, there's a few there. Do you see how it gets nice and light there and dark against the bright sky, but then light against the darker shadow underneath the eaves of the roof? Yeah, nice scene, really peaceful spot, and that was my rendition of it. So here is another video, slightly different orientation, video of the scene and me doing the initial wash. So I'm going to paint over everything except the light there, satellite dish, and possibly this figure that may or may not be in the finished picture. So as we did before, sky first.
You're doing a bright sky today or a light sky?
Quite well, I'm in the middle. Not too light, not too dark.
See you, do you want to come in?
No, it's all right. I can see from here, actually. Yeah. Thank you.
Go over the buildings again. Might need to be a bit darker than that. That dish, and then to the bottom where the rooftops are. So just creating this effect of the crumbling wall, just really dabbing the paint on.
Are you doing
trying
this
to
lovely
alternate
window
different-
here? You're missing that out.
No, missing that out.
Are you using your burnt sienna and cerulean mix?
This is yellow ochre,
Yellow.
mostly. And it's
And what
really
about the
dirty, sort of.
red redness of the building?
The
Will you try to get that in somehow or not?
what?
There's
The
a red
pink-
patch,
the
pinky colour in it.
Oh yes, no.
Do
Just-
like
just keep it. Well,
Oh, there you go.
come all down, all the way down. And up to the other side.
Is that, what colour's that?
Cadmium red or Windsor red,
Right.
and then on this side.
bluish. Almost looks like a lizard.
Anyway. It's got to be blue. Let's continue on this side. Just catch a bit of light. I might try and get in. So that's the main wash done. But I might try and get in these soft shadows to start off them. While it's dry. Yeah, it's going to look better when I get these dark shadows in and define the edges of the rooftops. Yeah, it's a lot easier with a bigger brush.
Yeah, I never can manage to get that. Perhaps if I could get near it. That's a synthetic brush, did you say?
Yeah, this one. But you can see it sort of behaves just like a natural
Nearly like a
brush.
straight
See how
brush.
it's bend. If that was
Amazing.
like some synthetic brushes, it would immediately spring back, and you got no kind of life in it.
It's brilliant the way it
See?
Amazing.
Look at the edge on it as
Yeah.
well.
And just
we probably have to get
This
one.
one's lost its point, but it's got a really good edge, so you can still you can almost do the whole painting with this.
yeah.
That's a Raphael brush.
Yeah. But a similar make is Princeton,
Princeton.
which is a US one. That's they've got a similar handling to this. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can. Do some of these soft shadows. So you see I've gone quite thick with this
Yeah.
mixture. See how, and which it needs to be to
Stop the cauliflowers.
stop the colour and get that soft edge. So it's a blue, and I've got cobalt blue this morning, and my burnt sienna is making that dark mix.
So you don't want a hard edge on this then?
No,
So the first wash is still damp.
yeah, it is. That's still quite moist in
Right.
there.
Oh, it's the shadow on the wall.
Okay, and then possibly is a bit wetter. But we'll go up here.
Yes, it's fascinating.
Across.
Oh, very good.
That's effective shadow, isn't it?
Now just let that dry. You see it's still moving now.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit too much, but I've done it now. So that was the week at the Watermill in Posara, painting holiday. Great opportunity if you can make it to come over to a lovely part of Italy, get well looked after, some lovely locations, lovely food, lovely company. People come from all over the world, UK, all over Europe, Australia, US, Canada. And yeah, we spent a great time together. Now, on the evening of our week, we got to the studio and we display all our paintings, and we can all have a little wander around and give ourselves a bit of a critique over how we got on. And it's a great time to overdrink, just to have a review of the week and how we got on, and looking back at our paintings and what could we improve if we did it again, and things that went well and things that didn't go so well. Yeah, great time to have a little debrief, if you like, and see how the week went. And it's not all about the painting. We get together every mealtime, have a bit of a chat, and lovely food, lovely Italian food. If you're into Italian food, this is, you have some lovely pastas and traditional Italian recipes, fantastic time. Yeah, great time to be with like-minded people. So check out Watermill. It's the website is watermill.net. I'm there next October. I'm pretty much there every October. There's lots of other artists there. They also do, it's not just about painting, they also do knitting, creative writing as well. So it's a lovely retreat, very peaceful. And as I say, you're with like-minded people. Everything's very friendly, very laid back. Everything laid on for you, all the transport, all the food. You don't need to spend any money at all, almost, through the whole week. So hopefully you like that video. Bit of a different video from what I normally do, but I thought I'd have a little bit of a recap over the week I did at the Watermill in Posara. Great painting holiday, but we'll be doing a more traditional watercolour tutorial, as I normally do, very soon. So stay tuned and subscribe. Look forward to getting your comments and subscribe. Catch up with you on the next video.